Folktales of Wales by Ira Jones. What's she got for us today? Morwen of the Woodlands. Bentley was the Prince of Powys, rich in land and cattle. One frosty morning he was hunting. The horse galloped into the woodland, and there Bentley saw a beautiful maiden. He called to her, but she only waved her hand in answer and disappeared. "She is a beautiful maiden," cried Bentley. "Who can she be?" He rode on, hunting the wild boar, but Bentley's mind was not on the chase. "I love that beautiful maiden," said Bentley. "I love my wife no longer. She has grown so old and ugly." Twice again he saw the lovely maiden. Each time he called, but she did not answer. Then one evening, as deep in thought he paced the paths of the forest, the maiden appeared before him. "Do not run away, my fair one," begged Bentley. "Stay with me and live in my beautiful palace." The maiden smiled. "Before I come," she said, "you must send away your wife. Then I will marry you. But there is one condition. I belong to the fairy world. One evening each week I must be free to return to fairyland. You must not follow me. If you keep to this condition, I shall never grow old. I shall remain young and beautiful until the gorse bushes grow in the hall of your palace." "I promise everything," said Prince Bentley. They returned to the prince's palace. They found that the prince's wife had disappeared. "My name is Morwen of the Woodlands," said the beautiful maiden, when the courtiers came to honour her. For many years, Bentley and Morwen were very happy. Each week, Morwen disappeared on a visit to her home in Fairyland. Then as time went on, Bentley began to wonder why she still went on visiting her home. He grew discontented and feared that his wife was under some evil spell. One day Bentley gave a great feast to celebrate his victory in war, and to his castle came the chief men of the realm. Among the most honoured guests was a monk named Woodlands, who sat beside Bentley on the days, in sight of all the guests. Bentley did not know that Woodlands was a magician. "Prince Bentley has some secret grief," muttered Woodlands to himself. As they walked in that palace gardens, Woodlands said, "Oh, Prince Bentley, you have many blessings, yet tell me why you are so sad." Bentley told the monk how Morwen disappeared mysteriously each week. "Your greatest need is peace of mind. I will give you peace of mind. But in return you must promise to give the woodland maiden to me, and also a gift of money each year to the monastery yonder." Bentley thought for a while. "I agree," he said to Woodlands, and he returned to the palace. That night Woodlands hid his book of sorcery within the folds of his gown, and made his way along a winding path to the great stones blocking the entrance of a cave that led to the land of the fairies. Then Woodlands sat and watched. He heard a rustling of leaves and the sound of silken skirts. He looked up from his book and saw Morwen of the Woodlands hasten past. Woodlands watched her until she was lost to sight in the darkness of the cave. He began to chant his incantations, the wind carrying his words across the moorland. "May Prince Bentley be at peace," he called as he fingered his learned book. "May he have peace, for he has promised a gift to the monks and a gift to me also. Morwen of the Woodlands is to be mine." There was silence a while. Then Woodlands continued, "I take an oath that I will marry her in the chapel of the monastery. She must come to meet me there at dawn. I shall be there to greet her and marry her." Having chanted these words over and over again, he hastened towards the monastery. When he reached the cloisters, he beheld a very tall lady seated on some steps of stone. There was something strange about her. Woodlands stepped nearer. Now she seemed no longer strange, but very familiar. On her hand he saw the ring with the precious rubies that Bentley had given to Morwen. "Take me for your wife," she said. "I have become a giantess now, but you have taken an oath that you will marry me." Woodlands was silent. "Seat yourself beside me," said the tall stranger, "and I will tell you all that has happened to me. I am ugly now. I am a giantess. 25 years ago I was beautiful and fair. Then it was I first became Bentley's wife. She grew sad and thoughtful. She continued, "When I grew older, I lost my beauty. In losing my beauty, I lost Bentley's love. Like you, Willan, I studied sorcery. I spoke to the fairies and made a bargain with them. I promised to enter fairyland for one night each week and become a giantess. In return, the fairies promised to make me beautiful for the rest of the week." Willan stared at her in surprise. She went on speaking. "By making this bargain, I once again, as a woodland maiden, won the love of Prince Bentley. For I and Morwen of the Woodlands are one and the same. I kept my vow to Bentley. I told him I would remain beautiful until the gorse bushes grew in the palace hall." She stood up and wrung her hands in anguish. "All was well," she said, "until someone chanted an evil spell against me, and now it has come about that I am bewitched as a giantess. But you have promised to marry me, so take me to the monastery chapel." Willan looked at the giantess, and he was filled with fear. He made the sign of the cross. "May you be restored to Bentley, Prince of Powers," he cried. "May peace be restored to me." Morwen was restored to Bentley. He welcomed her with open arms, for in her he saw both his early wife and Morwen of the Woodlands. For a long time they lived happily in their castle. When they died, their castle sank beneath the earth. The waters gathered over it, forming a lake, the lake of Llyn Kills. On a summer's day, if you row to the middle of the lake and peer down into the water, you can see the castle deep down into the depths. Willan's name remains in the name Croes Willan and the Willan. Throughout the district, people tell the story of Morwen and the Woodlands. Yeah, unrealistic expectations on the women there. Yeah, looks like it's always been tough for girls. It's like young, dumb and pretty. Prince of Powers sounds like a man who's never loved. He doesn't know what love is. Neither does the witch. Neither does that guy who stole her. He wanted like some blow-up doll, didn't he? I mean, yeah, maybe she was really. I don't know. Then again, I mean, it's kind of like being a vampire. You know, being eternally young. I get that. Doesn't mean she's dumb. But she's deceiving everyone, and the guys are loving it. As you would, but they're not creating a real connection there, are they? So who was the guy who stole her? Willan. I can't believe how Bentley was like, yeah, you can have her. Yeah, take her. Yeah. And I'll pay you. And the monastery. Bentley told the monk how Morwen disappeared mysteriously each week. "Your greatest need is peace of mind. I will give you peace of mind, but in return you must promise to give the woodland maiden to me, and also a gift of money each year to the monastery yonder." Bentley thought for a while. "I agree," he said to Willan, and returned to the palace guard. Wow. Yeah. They're just trading. This babe, obviously. Yeah, she's like this beautiful thing. But it's, yeah, it's a pretty sad story. Just, yeah. And he totally just disposed of his wife. We don't know how. It just says, oh yeah, cause she says, "Oh yeah, I'll marry you, ditch your wife." I don't know if she was a fairy. No, she isn't a fairy. But she's studied with the fairies or learnt magic, and she belongs to the fairy world. And then it says, he returned to the prince's palace after, like she said, get rid of her, and they found that the prince's wife had disappeared. That was it. So he killed her. Yeah. This is it. Well, you know, for a supple skin and some new flesh for the old dance, he has gone and just killed his wife off. Yeah, he got a new one. There we are. Morwen of the Woodlands happy to break a marriage and have eternal fairy Botox, so she can just make her husband content. So she fears men and belittles herself for, I don't know, maybe she's using what she's got. Yeah, she turns into a giant. Pretty rough for tall people. It makes you sound like you're tall and you're ugly. You've got to be like small and petite to be considered attractive in this story. It doesn't even say that she gets turned from a giantess back. Willan looked at the giantess and he's filled with fear. He made the sign of the cross. May you be restored to Bentley, Prince of Powys. May peace be restored to me. So yeah, you can be restored to the man, and restore peace to me. It doesn't say restore peace to herself. Morwen was restored to Bentley. He welcomed her with open arms, for in her he saw both his early wife and Morwen of the Woodlands. Again, it doesn't say that she's not a giant anymore. Maybe I don't know. I doubt he would take her back as a giant. Let's assume that's ridiculous. So she's now regular size. He's broken the spell on her, and he can see his old wife in her, the one he killed. God, yeah, what a mess. Morals of the story here: don't be anything like any of the characters in this book.